Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we're diving into 4.3, Measuring and Reporting on Governance Performance. We're going to move past just the theory and show you how to get real, tangible insights to figure out if your governance is actually doing what it's supposed to. So let's just start with the most important question of all. How do you really know if your governance framework is effective? Is it actively helping your organization succeed, or is it just, a fancy document gathering dust on a shelf somewhere? You see, this whole thing requires a shift in mindset. It's about moving governance away from being a simple box-ticking exercise and turning it into a powerful tool that actually drives strategic success and builds some serious trust. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to walk through this in 4 parts. First, we'll cover the why this matters so much. Then, the what exactly we should be measuring. Then we get to the how with a really practical toolkit. And finally, the now what, turning all that data into action. This is your A to Z roadmap. First up, let's really nail down why measuring governance isn't just some nice-to-have idea. It is absolutely critical for any organization that wants to thrive today. Measuring performance pays off in so many ways. For one, it validates your strategy, making sure your governance is actually helping you hit your goals. This, in turn, builds incredible trust with stakeholders because you have objective proof you're managing things responsibly. And maybe most importantly, it lets you get ahead of risks, spotting those little weaknesses before they blow up into big crises. Okay, so we're all on the same page about the why. The natural next question is, what exactly are we supposed to be measuring to get a full, clear picture? Well, the good news is we don't have to start from scratch. ISO 37000 gives us this fantastic blueprint. It breaks down the huge idea of governance into these 6 core measurable areas. This gives us a really solid, holistic framework to work with. Any good evaluation has to start right at the top. So for the governing body, we're not just, checking attendance records. We're diving deeper. We're looking at the diversity of skills and backgrounds in the room, the quality of the strategic debates, and how effectively they challenge ideas. And this is a perfect example of how we can measure something that feels, kind of abstract, right? Like culture. We can make it tangible by looking at things like how deeply the code of conduct is really understood, how effective our training is, and how robust and accessible our speak-up channels are. It makes the intangible measurable. All right, so we know why we're doing this, and we know what we should be looking at. The next step, of course, is how. So let's open up the toolkit and see what practical tools we can use. Now, a really strong evaluation never, ever relies on just one method. The key is to look at things from all angles to get that full 360-degree view. That means using internal checks like self-assessments, getting hard numbers with quantitative metrics, listening to your stakeholders through surveys, and getting that outside perspective from audits. Now, a core part of this toolkit is the KPI, the Key Performance Indicator. Simply put, it's just a measurable value that cuts through the noise and shows you exactly how well you're doing on a key objective. It's the data point that lets you track your progress over time. And this brings us to a really critical distinction: lagging versus leading indicators. A lagging indicator is like looking in the rearview mirror. It tells you what already happened, like the number of data breaches you had last year. But a leading indicator, that's your windshield. It's a predictor, like the percentage of employees you completed their training. It helps you see what's coming. A really smart governance framework focuses on those leading indicators to prevent problems before they even start. So for instance, to measure risk management, you wouldn't just count failures. You'd track proactive KPIs, things like the percentage of audit items that get implemented on time or the success rate of your crisis simulations. You can even track the maturity score of your whole risk framework to watch it get more sophisticated over time. But hey, remember, numbers alone don't tell the whole story. The why behind the data is often found in the qualitative stuff. Those insights you get from interviews, from open-ended survey questions, and from just listening to people. That's absolutely essential for understanding the context. Okay, so you've done all the hard work. You've gathered all this fantastic data, both the numbers and the stories. The million-dollar question is, what do you do with it now? This is where measurement stops being a snapshot in time and becomes a powerful engine for improvement. The good old plan, do, check, act cycle is perfect for this. It turns measurement from a one-off report into a continuous loop. You plan your actions based on the data, you do the work to make improvements, you check the impact with your KPIs, and then you act on what you've learned to adapt and start the cycle all over again. It's how your framework keeps evolving and getting stronger. A huge part of that ACT step is reporting your findings. But here's the trick. One-size-fits-all reporting doesn't work. You have to tailor the message. Your board cares about strategic risk. Your investors, they want to see long-term value. And your employees are focused on the culture. You have to speak their language. And think about it this way. Modern reporting shouldn't be some dusty old annual report. It should be more like a live dashboard of your organization's health, giving you real-time insights that help your leaders make better, faster decisions. So let's just quickly recap our journey. First, treat measurement as a strategic tool, not just a compliance headache. Second, use those 6 dimensions as your guide. Third, use a mixed toolkit. Get the numbers and the stories behind them. And finally, and most importantly, use those insights to drive real, continuous action. This quote from our source material really just nails the whole point of what we've talked about today. The value isn't in the act of measuring itself. It's in the improvement and the action that it inspires. And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When you look at your own organization's governance reporting, what do you see? Is it a history book just telling you where you've been? Or is it a dynamic, data-driven roadmap that's actually charting a more resilient and successful path forward?